Yes, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world today. We are live. This is VBIT Technologies. My name is Gershom Fulcott. We have with us today, as always, one of our co-founder, Mr. Jason Wang. Mr. Wang, good
Good
afternoon to you, sir. How
afternoon.
are you?
Good afternoon, everybody. I am doing just fantastic. You know what happened this last couple of days, right?
Oh, these last few days have been phenomenal. If you notice today, I said good afternoon, good evening, good morning, right?
That's
Because
true. Thank you.
our international teams are growing so fast, and
Yes,
particularly Australia, the Australian
yes,
team is just on fire.
absolutely.
Those guys are just out of control right now. So
They are super excited about
yeah,
our company and about our mission,
yes,
and they are just spreading like wildfire, which
I think
in a positive way. So, which is great.
yeah, I think the company and the company structure and the leadership is excites them, but I also
Yeah.
think one of the big driver is the mission, is the company's mission.
Hmm.
What we're trying to do in terms of Bitcoin mining and bringing Bitcoin mining to the average person. And I think that's more than anything else. Yes, the company, the leadership, everything is phenomenal, but that one thing right there, the company's mission is a big driver in their excitement as well. I've noticed that.
Yeah, for sure. I
James,
mean,
go ahead, Mr. Wang.
no, I said absolutely. What actually got them excited is when Don, Jen, and myself, along with some top leadership in the company, hosted a private session to meet everybody over Zoom for the with the Australian team. So that really solidified the confidence for them over there. So Don did a great job. Jen did a great job in their presentation that they did just a couple of days ago.
Nice, very nice, very nice. Hey, James. Everybody knows James. James is always in the background as the producer, making things happen for us, keeping everything together, and keeping Mr. Wong in check. But so, James, what's going on, James?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. No Rona over here. I'm just hanging in there.
Yeah, living the life in Southern California, the beautiful California, right?
Out in California, growing my tomatoes and summer squash and zucchini, kind of just staying in my own lane. Life is good,
Oh
man.
man,
No
that's
complaints.
beautiful, man. That's awesome. That's how it's all supposed to be. All right, everybody. I hope you guys have had a wonderful week so far. It's Friday. We are going through the weekend. And as Mr. Wong was saying, we had a phenomenal week this week. Not as far as the company and what the company is doing and growing so fast, but also, what Bitcoin price has been for the past few days. As we all know, we did crack 12,000, but we did pull back below 12,000. And I think the last time I checked is probably around 11,800, somewhere around there. So it's holding strong above 11,000, which is a very good sign because, like we talked about a couple of days ago, for a long time, we couldn't crack that 10,000 mark, which was a very strong psychological barrier. But now that we have cracked that in a strong way and cracked 11,000 and we're staying above 11,000, we may be in a sustainable bull market, but time will tell. We know how Bitcoin operate. You never know, but things are looking good so far, and I feel good about what's going on with the prices. And I think that before we know it, we should crack 12,000. Hopefully, stay above that and establish 12,000 as a new base. So we'll see what happens. Hey, Mr. Wong, what's your take on the price right now for Bitcoin for this past week?
Hey, I'm sorry, I've been breaking off. So, what was your question, Gershom?
I was asking you, what's your take on the price of Bitcoin right now for the past week?
Well, I think Bitcoin actually has gone up a little too fast in the last couple of days, but I am very happy that that it is sustaining at the above the $11,000 mark, which is important. I think when Bitcoins and all the other altcoins start going up, as particularly like a couple of the smaller altcoins are going up like crazy, like 50, 75%, one as high as like I want to say 1,800%, 1,800% or something, some crazy stuff
Wow.
like that. Yeah, my phone and my messaging app, were going off like crazy. People were asking me, "Oh, Did you get any coins? Did you get any before 10,000? It just went to 11."
Yeah.
And my standard reply is always, "I buy them every day, right?
Yes. Yes.
I buy them every day because I'm trading my mining power for a little bit of Bitcoins on a daily basis. So I am dollar cost averaging every day. So I am not worried about today's going up to 12,500. Tomorrow's dropping down to 10.5. I'm not concerned about that because I'm getting them every day." That's what I
Yeah.
tell them. I said, that's what you guys need to do. Nobody can time the market perfectly, especially with these smaller altcoins that are going, 35, 50%, 1,800%. Who can time that stuff?
You can.
I bet you most of those stuff were manipulated in the background by these big
100%.
whales.
100%. I agree with you on that.
I
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a small fish. I'm not gonna throw my money in there just so that these big fish can gobble me up. You know what I'm
And
saying?
Mr. Wong, you're not small. You're not
Yeah.
small. You're not a small fish.
Are you making fun of my weight?
No.
I know I gained a few
No.
pounds during this.
No. You are not a small fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're breaking up there for a second, but you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, to me, there are a lot of benefits to Bitcoin mining, but one of the biggest benefit is the dollar cost averaging. When you look at the benefit of doing dollar cost averaging when you're doing any kind of like investment, especially in the stock and equities, right? You want a dollar cost average so you can actually get the biggest bang for your buck. And so to me, that's what Bitcoin mining is. It's dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. So someone who is, looking to go out and buy Bitcoin, especially at these prices, imagine if they could actually just, understand what mining is all about, the benefit of mining, spending that money that they would spend on just buying, a half a Bitcoin or one Bitcoin, and just get a Bitcoin mining rig with us. And then over the long term, they could mine tremendously a lot more Bitcoin that they would possibly be able to buy in a one shot. So when you do it that way, you absolutely dollar cost averaging in, and you get the biggest bang for your buck that way. But I want to get things started with our first topic today. And, Raoul Paul, and we know who Raoul Paul is. We have him on here all the time as far as, some of the clips that we play. And he wrote an article that came out the other day. And what he's saying is that, look, he believed that out of all the assets out there right now, that Bitcoin is going to be the best performing asset in the next 2 years. And I want to read you a couple of things that he said in this article, right? So listen to this, Mr. Wong. He said, so he's looking at the charts, right? He said, these are incredibly bullish long-term chart patterns. And he said the probabilities of the chart suggest that Bitcoin is likely set to be the best performing major asset in the world. Not just the US, the best performing asset in the world in the next 2 years. Then he goes on to say this. In fact, only one asset offset the growth of the G4 balance sheet. It's not stocks, it's not bonds, it's not commodities, it's not the credit market, it's not precious metals, it's not the miners. There's only one asset that massively outperformed over almost any other asset out there across the horizon, and that's Bitcoin. And so, when a guy like that is writing things like this, you have to really sit back and understand what's going on. And as a matter of fact, the video we have for you guys today it's incredible. Very short video, but when we get to it, I'll expand on that more. But the reason why I mentioned the video so early in the live stream is that we really have to understand what's taking place and do not allow ourselves to get caught flat-footed with the entire situation. We talk about all the time, the money printing, right? The devaluing the dollar, the fake numbers in the economy, right? The fake job numbers and all that stuff. There's a reason why all these things are happening. And if we don't take the steps to make sure that we protect ourselves from what's taking place out there, we're going to get crushed. And so when someone like this, who's a Wall Street veteran, a well-respected guy in the investment space, right? A guy that managed billions of dollars, when he's coming out and writing these articles and saying, hey, guys, I'm telling you, Bitcoin will be the best performing asset in the next 2 years. There's nothing else out there that's going to perform like Bitcoin. And if you're not in this space, if you're not involved in Bitcoin, then my question to you is, what's wrong with you? Like, do you want to get hurt? Like, do you want to lose everything you have? Is that what you want? Because if you don't get involved with Bitcoin right now to save yourself from this money printing, dollar devaluation, you will get crushed. What's your take, Mr. Wong?
Well, in the last, 2 or so decades, 2+ decades, since I graduated and start really, investing in the market, I have personally seen 3 major crashes. One was the .com, right? The other one was the 2008 mortgage crisis, subprime mortgage crisis, and then this is a third, right? I feel like every 8 to 10 years or so, this market goes up to like an all-time high, and then it sucks all the little small fish, and like you and I, into this vacuum, into this black hole, and then just suck us dry, right? And then just kick us, spit us back out again into the ocean and say, go ahead. Now go save up some more money, and then we're going to come back in 10 years.
We're going to take it.
We're going to come back again. We're going to suck you dry again. Honestly, I'm tired of this shit. Yes. I'm sorry for the lack of a better term, for the better word, right?
Yeah.
And, I work so hard to save up to a certain, amount, and then just to see my portfolio lose 30, 40, 50, 60%. Right? So think of it this way: you climb so hard to try to, to the top of the building, and then when you're almost there, they knock you down 10 levels, knock you down 20 levels, 30 levels, 40 levels. It's like you'll never reach the top of your game, or top of your the building or your goal that you set out to reach. Because we are not the one. We are not the dealer here. Understand that. The big banks, those ultra rich, they are the ones that are controlling, the market. So I say de-risk yourself, all right? And that's what I am doing, and that's what I believe in. And you have to do your own due diligence. And I believe personally that, mining is much better than just buying and holding. Imagine that. Now, think about that. Imagine you bought a Bitcoin. You have finally enough money that you save up. You have $9,000. You went out there, you buy 1 Bitcoin. All of a sudden, in the last, less than 30 days, it went from 9,000 to almost as high as 12,000. Right? What are you going to do? Now you have a decision to make. Are you going to sell, right, and take that profit? Or you're going to hold on to it. Not too many people would be able to make the right decision under these.
That's a lot of discipline too.
A lot of pressures. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's what separates, a professional trader from a recreational day trading, junkie that end up most of the time losing their shit. So I don't want to be playing that game. I don't have that knowledge, That's the reason why I opted for mining. I know when we preach that, all the time, but mining truly offers you the opportunity to be able to accumulate little bit of Bitcoin on a daily basis. You know, when you
Absolutely.
dollar average it out, you're gonna come out much better comparing to just buying and holding. That's
You
my 2
know,
cents.
I wanted to go back to a point you made. You know how last week, the video that we watched last week, Raul Paul, and he said, for the very first time, the average person on the street is able to front run Wall Street for a change. And you know how Wall Street always front run these situations, they front run these trades because they kind of like get the information before everybody else, or they have these super algorithms, you know, high frequency trading that goes on, and they front run the market. And so for the very first time, the average person is able to front run Wall Street, right? Because, you know, like Robert Kiyosaki said, Bitcoin is the people's money. And when Bitcoin first came out, you know, the Wall Street guys, the big hedge funds, you know, the big money, they didn't want to touch it, right? They held their nose and walked past Bitcoin like, you know, it was in the graveyard or something, right? And so it was the average person like you and I that were, you know, hey, we figured out that this is something for a change that we can actually get involved with and could potentially save us from the Wall Street shenanigans. And so for a very long time, it was the people's money and still is. But my point is this, like Raul Paul was saying, now we have a chance to front run Wall Street because we have been involved with Bitcoin now for a number of years.
Right.
And now they're coming in.
Right.
Wall Street, the big hedge funds, right? The big institution, all these endowments. Now they're coming in. And with their big money, they're going to push the price of Bitcoin up because it's just going to happen, right? But the point is this, we're already in it. So when they push the price up, we will benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So for the very first time, yes, the average person is in the position to front run Wall Street because when they start, and they're already coming in, we talk about it, right? Fidelity, you know, Paul Tudor Jones, all these guys, you know, Mike Novogratz, all these guys are coming in with all this big money, right? But like you talk about last week, Mr. Wong, what they're doing is that they're buying up Bitcoin, but they're doing it over the counter. So it doesn't affect the price. So,
of course.
Yeah, and because they don't want to push the price up yet. They want to gather as much as they can at a lower price. So when the price goes parabolic, they can benefit from it. But if they're going to go out and purchase, you know, $200 million or, you know, $200 million worth of Bitcoin on an exchange, that's going to move the price in a big way. And so they don't want to do that. So they buy over the counter. But they're all coming in. They're already in the space and more are coming in. But the fact of the matter is this, we, as the small person, like Mr. Wong said, the small fish in the pond,
that's right.
For the very first time, we are able to benefit from Wall Street shenanigans, right?
That's right. Gosh, you know, they're you know, the Wall Street guys are very, very smart. I mean, it's not their, you know, they've been doing this for a very long time. And that's also the reason why they came up with these future trainings, you know, for Bitcoins.
100%.
So that they can benefit from both ways, right? So number one is they're buying these Bitcoin over the counter, so OTC, right? So it doesn't affect the price on the exchange. When they finish buying up these Bitcoins that are available, and then you still have tremendous amount of demand, let's say from the small fish like you and I, right, and general public, what's going to happen? The demand continues to go up. There's not enough supply, right? Now, all these big banks are holding on to the Bitcoins, so they can be, you know, let's say the seller and selling it, right? So they can actually benefit both ways, but by, you know, cashing it in, right? Making some gains, but at the same time, on the option front, which I believe they're also making another killing on it, right? Now, we don't recommend anybody getting into these, you know, complicated securities here, right?
Either.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying this is how, you know, these Wall Street guys, you know, would play. right? So that they can benefit from both ways, so that they can catch up. We truly, as you put it, we have an opportunity to front run these bankers that have
Yes, for the first time.
traditionally,
Yeah.
always get the first step.
Yeah, but it's and so when you talk about Bitcoin being the best performing asset in the next 2 years, and one of the things Anthony Pompliano was talking about, and even Raul Paul. So Raul Paul was saying that he believes that Bitcoin could be up 100% this year. And Anthony Pompliano, and he's been saying this for a very long time. I mean, early part of last year, he's been saying that by the end of 2021, we could see Bitcoin at $100,000. And, when you hear those numbers, $100,000 Bitcoin, to the average person, it may sound like, like it's impossible or there's no way. But for people like you and myself, Mr. Wong, who've been around for a while and have been involved in this space, we know that's exactly what's going to happen, right? And then to push it further, Raul Paul said, look, with the situation that as it is, and we have to understand how dire the situation is. And I keep telling people all the time, don't look at the stock market. And I know you guys hear it. I know every time you turn on the TV, you hear that the NASDAQ is at an all-time high. You hear that the Dow is almost at an all-time high again. The S&P is almost at an all-time high. And, you think that, things are getting better. No, things are not getting better because the stock market is not the economy. And I keep saying that, and I will keep saying that because we have to understand that the stock market is not the economy. And the reason why the stock market right now is getting the all-time high is because the Fed is printing up all this cheap money, right?
Yep.
And when they print up all this cheap money, it has to find its way in the market somehow, right? So yes, and also we have to think about this also. When you see the stock market going up and all these things are price increasing, it's not because they're going up in value per se. It's because the dollar is losing its value. Right? So as the dollar loses value, it takes more and more dollars to buy these assets. So the asset price is going up, but it's because the dollar is losing its value, it takes more dollar to buy the same assets, right? But the stock market is not the economy. So the economy hasn't gotten any better. Mm-hmm. There's still over maybe 30-something million people that lost their job when the whole COVID thing came out. Mm-hmm. So I believe what's going to happen, Mr. Wong, I believe that we're going to see the Dow Jones at 30, maybe 35,000, and the unemployment rate at 20%. We're going to see that, right? And they call that it's kind of like stagflation. But the point is this: the economy is still in dire situation, and just because the markets are going up almost all-time high doesn't mean that the economy is getting any better.
Right. The stock market, the indexes doesn't represent the
absolutely
the economy.
I mean, think about this. But think about this. There are 5 companies right now that's carrying the entire S&P 500, almost, right? You got the FANG, you got Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google, and there's another one of them, right? So basically 5 companies, Microsoft. There are 5 companies that is carrying the entire S&P 500. So yes, the market is not the economy.
Oh, definitely not. The indexes doesn't represent the condition of the economy that we're in. It doesn't it doesn't really explain why we are at an all-time high, but when I go out, people are fear, right, to get back to the life that they had before the pandemic started. So absolutely not. Very different picture.
Absolutely. All right. So our next topic, Mr. Wong. We talk about this all the time. And, the Fed, they're actually in the process of testing the digital dollar. Yes. So we know this is coming. we know it's gonna happen. So now they have teamed up with MIT, and they're actually running tests in trying to figure out what is the best way to implement the digital dollar, and they're looking at different ways to set it up. I think they're going to have their own blockchain for sure, right? But so the challenges they have is how will they implement this and not create too much disruption in the economy as it is right now, because it's not going to be a smooth transition, because there are a lot of business that are cash intensive, and it needs to be that way. And also, when you look at a lot of senior citizens who are not necessarily like technical savvy, so if we just flip the economy and go straight from dollar and go straight into a digital currency, how is that going to affect the older people in our generation? So there are a number of things that they really need to figure out how this is going to happen. But the point is this: they have actually started testing their own digital dollar. And you have to give thanks to Bitcoin for that, because Bitcoin is forcing them to think about this and actually figure out a way to come up with a digital dollar. It's not going to be anything like Bitcoin. We all know that, right? It's going to be government. It's going to be just another form of fiat currency. And it's going to be, like we talk about Mr. Wong, it's going to be a programmable money, meaning that they can program it and they can decide how you spend it. And they can also put expiration time on the money. That means that if you don't spend it in a certain amount of time, it's going to lose its value. And it's going to keep losing its value if you don't spend it until it expires and it's worthless. So there's many things that they're going to be able to do with this new digital money. So those of us who may think it's a good thing because it may bring us some more convenient, we won't have to deal with, paper dollars. A lot of us think that it's dirty. They carry germs and disease, and I get all that. It's a valid point, but it's not going to be the best thing for us when they come up with the digital dollar, because we're going to lose a lot more of our control. And the thing is this: if you cannot control your money, how free are you? Right? I mean, think about that. If you cannot control your money, how free are you? And that's exactly what's going to happen. So you better be making our preparations. I mean, I think to a certain extent we will have to use the U.S. digital dollar. We can't get away from it. But I want to make sure that I'm offsetting that by being in something like Bitcoin, because the U.S. digital dollar will be controlled by the government 100%. And they'll be able to see exactly what you spend. They'll know exactly what you're buying. They'll know exactly what's in your account. And they will let you know how you can spend that money, right? So is it a good thing? I don't think so. But the fact of the matter is they're moving ahead. It's going to happen. And right now, they're working with MIT, and they're in the testing phase.
So, Gershom, couple of comments, right? We have to make preparations for that, because whether we like it or not, digitizing the US dollar will be here.
Absolutely.
It's coming. Because there are so many economic benefits to the government, all right, if they digitize it. The US economy is about what, 17 trillion?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay. Some have estimated that the underground economy is somewhere around 7 or 8 trillion, if not just as big. So think about that. How much more tax dollars would they be able to collect if they digitize it?
Very good point.
Now, also in China, you talk about freedom, and this is one of the things that I have read on these blogs, because China is a little bit more ahead of us when it comes to testing the digital yuan, right, which is the name of their currency over there, and they have a big data center where they collect all sorts of data from its citizens. From obviously where you live and your what you spend on in terms of the medicine, where you go to doctors, where you have been, and all that stuff. Surveillance is just crazy over there, right? Now, imagine this. What if you are a diabetic? Or what if you have some kind of a heart disease? They can program into your wallet and say that, guess what, Gershom? You're not allowed to buy sodas with your money.
Yes, 100%. No, I mean, we laugh about it, but that's exactly what's going to happen. I don't, not to cut you off, Mr. Wong, a lot of things we talk about, I'm not sure if the average person realizes how serious this is. I really don't. And that's why, one of the reasons why I like us doing these live stream, because I think that, if we can have these conversations with our members and our audience, and then at least, some people will get the information and start thinking about it. And then they will talk to their neighbor about it, their family member and their friends. And then more people will become aware of where we're going. But you are 100% correct. I didn't mean to cut you off, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So this is what China is trying to implement, right? What is the most efficient way to, number one, digitize their currency so that it brings the underground economy above ground, more tax dollars that they can collect. Second, significantly it reduces I guess not reduce, but kind of eliminate those people, the corrupt politicians, because they believe that there are a lot of corrupt politicians over there that have a lot of these cash that are stacked away, right? And number three, one of the biggest expense that the Chinese government is spending on is medical expenses. The population is aging, right? And what they can do is they can combine these big data mining techniques and then program it into your digital wallet to help reduce the medical spending. So by limiting you being able to go out and buying fried greasy food or high sugar, drinks, that might have a very long lasting effect. But what we are paying in terms of, what we're giving up in terms of our freedom is something that we need to really, compare. I am not sure if I'm crazy about that idea that my government would control what I can and cannot buy or drink.
Absolutely, and you're right. You lose your freedom. And another thing that they will be able to do with the digital currency is we talk about negative interest rate. And I strongly believe that we will see negative interest rate. And as a matter of fact, when you think about the rate of inflation and the rate of return that you get with your money in the bank, you're already at negative rates. But I think that the Fed, and as a matter of fact, right now, the banks are trying to force the Feds to cut rates again. And if you notice, to get a mortgage these days, the lenders have changed the requirement to qualify for mortgage now. A lot of people who used to qualify for mortgage 6 months ago don't qualify anymore. Because they're tightening up on the lending standards, because they want to force the Fed hand. They want the Fed to lower rates again. But to my point, negative rates, right? So picture this. If you have $100,000 in the bank and the Fed implement negative rates, and so the bank send you a letter one day and say, we're going to start charging you 0.5% a year to have your money in the bank, right? That's what negative rates is. So rather than the bank paying you, an interest to have your money in the bank. Negative rates mean they're going to charge you for having your money in the bank. Mm-hmm. So the natural reaction for that would be, hey, I'm going to go to the bank and take my money out of the bank, right? Why would I leave my money in an institution that's going to charge me for having my money there? I'll just go take it out. And those situations would cause what they call a bank run, a run on the bank. Mm. Now, if the money is digital and they implement negative rates, what are you going to do?
You have no way to run. You have no way to run.
You're trapped. You're trapped. And that's another thing. So not only will we lose a tremendous amount of our freedom because, you know, the money itself will be programmable. Believe that, guys. I'm telling you. This digital dollar will be programmable. Just like what they're doing in China, you're going to see it here, right? So you're going to lose your freedom that way. But also, you'll be trapped in that system because if and when they implement negative rates, you cannot go take your money out of the bank. There's nowhere for you to go. And also, to your point, Mr. Wong, yes, it's going to really disrupt the underground economy, the black market, if you will. Right? Because then that economy will have to come above ground and it's going to be more tax for them. And also for people that, you know, so-called cheat on their tax, that's going to be out the window. You can't do that anymore, right? So there are a lot of things with this digital dollar that's going to benefit the government. It's not going to benefit us as individuals. And you can look at it as a convenient because you won't need to carry around these dollar bills in your pocket anymore and stuff like that. But you have to also think about what are you giving up to get that convenient, right? You know, convenience always comes with a price. So are you willing to give up the freedom of you owning and controlling your own money? Are you willing to give that up for a little convenience?
To a certain extent.
Say again?
To a certain extent.
Yes. And I think a lot of people probably wouldn't mind that. Right? Some people don't care about their freedom, but I for one care about my freedom, right? So
of course. Yeah.
Interesting times, Mr. Wong. Interesting times. Okay, so speaking of which, today's video, right? And it's a very short video. It's around 5 minutes. It's a 5-minute video. And you know, sometimes it's very difficult to choose a video for this live stream because I have so many. You know, I watched some of the podcasts and there's so much information out there, and try to narrow it down to just bring one clip of a video is very difficult sometimes. Because I like today, this week, I had like 4 different videos I had lined up. I'm trying, which one should I play? But I think this one is very appropriate. So I'm not sure how many of you guys know who Ray Dalio is. So Ray Dalio runs one of the largest hedge funds in the world, right? And I think Ray Dalio's hedge fund is, I've heard, between $80 to $150 billion. And he did an interview the other day, and he's talking about, you know, what's going to happen and the things that he see happening and how things are going to play out and how it's important for us to really start taking some measures to protect ourselves from what's happening. So I'm not going to say any more about the video. I'm just going to let you guys watch it, listen to it, and we'll come back on and talk about it, okay? So, James, if you're ready, sir, please go ahead.
We're now at one of those defining moments. You just have to see it for what it is and deal with it well. Don't deal with it emotionally. Approach it like a chess game. If I make this move, it will have this implication. I can't describe what I see. We see something like $20 trillion of losses. You know, some people mistake this as there is a virus, and the virus may come and go. Okay, maybe we never see it again, but who knows? But if it never came back again, there will be those who are broke and who will have loss of income. We're going to change how we operate in a way. The supply lines are going to change. In other words, self-sufficiency. What is self-sufficiency now going to mean? Do we have enough of this and that? We're going to restructure our economy and restructure the financial system in ways that mean we are not going to go back to the way it was. We're now at one of those defining moments that I've seen repeatedly. The 1930 to 45 period, if you go back in history, there's nothing new to this. There are four things that are the driving forces of our economy and our lifestyle and wealth. And the first and most powerful is productivity, which comes from people learning and inventing, and it grows slowly. 1 or 2 or 3% a year, it grows slowly, and it's not volatile because knowledge isn't volatile. Then there's a short-term debt cycle. The short-term debt cycle is, recessions and expansions and booms and recessions, that they last about 8-10 years. And then there's a long-term debt cycle. And that long-term debt cycle, which goes on about once every 50 to 75 years, is when you begin a new type of money and a new type of credit. That began in 1945. The New World Order, at the end of World War II, and with the Bretton Woods monetary system, created a new monetary system in 1945, a new money. So they wiped out pretty much the old money, or they largely disposed of it, and they began anew, and that's the New World Order, which was the American World Order, and we have seen it, and still 70% of the money and credit that exists in the economy is running by dollars. And then the fourth influence is politics. And politics is largely how we deal with each other. 1929 to 1932, there was a fall in the economy and a very double-digit unemployment rates and a magnitude of fall in the economy like about 10%. Do I think we're in that? Yes. How was that dealt with? 1933. What they did is they printed a lot of money. And the government came out with the same type of programs that we're having now. Yes, okay, same thing. Zero interest rates hit zero. Same thing. Okay, same dynamics. And then there is that money causes an expansion from that point. How long does it take for the stock market to exceed its highs? Or how long does it take for the economy to exceed its former highs? A long time. Okay, do I think that's what we're in? Yes, that's what we're in. We've seen that happen repeatedly in history. You saw it many, many times. It's just the most recent one. And there's a structure to that. So yes, this is not a recession. This is a breakdown, an operation that I'm just describing in terms of how it's dealt with, the production of money and credit and all of that. That's what we're in. So if you think about that and you say, American printing of money and the borrowing will leave us with a lot of debt and monetization. That's something interesting to talk about, and we need to talk about that. Who will pay these bills and how will that be shared will be something we need to talk about. But we are in a new world, and that world is most similar to the 1930 to 45 world, and a lot of the world will not get that money and credit. So there'll be a big differentiation as to which entities benefit and which entities don't.
All right. So, yes, that video, I hope you guys were really listening to what Ray Dalio was saying. And as I said before we start the video, so Ray Dalio runs one of the biggest hedge funds in the world. Anywhere from 80 to 150 billion dollars the guy managed, right? A multi-billionaire. And this is someone that has studied history and studied, financial markets and, financial history. That's what he does. That's his life. And here's this person's telling you, guys, things are changing. Things are changing in a big way. And for the person that's walking around in a lackadaisical type of way and not really caring about what's going on, you're going to be crushed. You're going to be crushed. I'm telling you, things are never going to be the same. And I said this before, and this is not a conspiracy theory thing, but I believe that the COVID-19 coronavirus was just too much of a convenient for what's taking place. And as I said before, the market broke down in September of last year when the repo market blew up. This is not an accident, guys. These things are planned out. And what's taking place right now with the money printing, the zero interest rate, and soon to be negative interest rate, because the system is breaking down and there will be a new system in place. Whether you like it or not, you can believe it or don't believe it, right? Because reality is as such where whether you believe it or not, it's going to happen. And so the best thing that we can do is to prepare ourselves for it. But things are going to change. And that's why I believe that Bitcoin is going to be the best asset for the average person to protect themselves from the changes that's coming. So I hope you guys got something from that video. If you don't know who Ray Dalio is, look him up online, follow him on YouTube, find him on Twitter. This guy knows what he's talking about. And not only is he a hedge fund manager, one of the biggest hedge funds in the world, he's also a historian. And he's telling us that looking back at the pages of history and looking at what's taking place, we are in the middle of a transition. And so, and I've been saying this from day one, where will you be on the other side of this is super important. And what are you doing to make sure that you come out better than you are today on the other side of this? And that's, to me, that's the most important thing that we can think about right now. What are we doing to make sure that when the system change, when the system switch, where will you be on the other side? And I strongly believe that Bitcoin is one of the most important things that you can have in your portfolio to make sure that you can survive this change that's coming up. What say you, Mr. Wong?
Hey, it's great point that you're making, whether you believe it or not. The change is already happening. It's already here, right? If history is any, guidance, in our history, in our economy, we have never been able to kind of reduce our debt, haven't we? With all the presidents that we've been having, what we've been doing is really just printing more money, raising the debt ceilings, right? That's been always the go-to method to balance the balance sheet. So this can of worm, it's already open. We already printed a couple of $1 trillion already, and we're going to continue to print more and more money. And there's one picture that is just very vivid in my head is one of the diagrams that you have shown during one of your presentations in the past, Gershom. It shows the value of the dollar, I guess, from 1930s or 1920s till today, the purchasing power. What is it worth today with a dollar versus from 90-some hundred years ago? It's ridiculous. Like a nickel or something like that, if I remember correctly. But that picture paints such a vivid image and message to people that our dollars, as well as any other federal, or any other reserve currencies around the world, is decreasing in value. And that's a fact. So this change has already begun long before this COVID-19 hit. This is, like they say, it's just a convenient way to kind of find something to blame. And it's just going to accelerate the adoption of the change, right, Gershom? So that's my belief. So.
Well, you know what? Let me do something real quick. I want to see if James can pull this up. Hey, James, I'll just send you an image. Can you just put it up real quick if you can, bud? So, Mr. Wong, think about this.
Mm-hmm.
The US dollar is a fiat currency.
Mm-hmm.
Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. every single fiat currency in the history of the world have all gone to zero. I want to say that one more time. The US dollar is a fiat currency. Every single fiat currency in the history of mankind have always gone to its intrinsic value, zero. I'm not sure if, okay, and if James, do you get that image up, James?
Yeah, it's coming up right now.
Okay.
Should be up now.
So I want you guys to look at that. Since 1913, the US dollar has lost over 96% of its purchasing power. So the thing is this, you may still have a dollar in your hand, but what that dollar can buy is around 4% of what it used to buy in 1913. So I want you guys to look at that image. Hopefully James got it up already. Look at that. Where do you think the dollar is going to go? Look at where it is from where it's coming from. Right? And I'm going to say this one more time before I move on from this topic. Every single fiat currency in the history of the world has gone to zero. And look at that image and you tell me. Okay? So the thing is this, what are you going to do to protect yourself? And I truly believe that Bitcoin is one of the best assets out there that you can get into to protect yourself. And specifically, what we do, this is not a sales pitch, this is just the reality of it, Bitcoin mining. So, when we do these live streams, it's really to bring you guys some information that we think you can use that's valuable, that will get you thinking about certain things, right? And get you to really take action into protecting yourself from what's happening. And just like Mr. Wong says, the change is here. It's happening. And if you're paying attention, you will see that the changes are happening. It's no longer a secret. It's right in the open. Changes are happening all across the world, not just the US. This is global. This is happening everywhere. We are in a global recession right now. And the change that's happening is going to affect the entire globe, whether you like it or not. So I want you guys to really look at the image of the US dollar and imprint that in your cranium. That's what's happening to the US dollar right now. All right, Mr. Wong, on to the next topic, sir. So this this is actually a funny topic. This is funny. So MicroStrategy, right? I know you're gonna laugh. So the CEO, a couple of years ago, the CEO came out and said, Bitcoin days are numbered, right? It's only a matter of time until Bitcoin suffers the same fate as online gambling. So he said Bitcoin is dead. About 3 years ago, he said that. Mr. Wong, what happened last week, sir? his company.
He came out and 180-degree change in his opinion, but actually putting the money where his mouth is. So he pumped in about $250 million into Bitcoins and came out and saying he believes that Bitcoin is the best, one of the best way for people to kind of, if they want to protect, what they have and hatch against, what the traditional market offers. So it's the best way to, it's the best way of form of store of values. I think that's how he puts it. So, great. I have him on board.
I give him credit to at least be man enough to admit that he was wrong.
True.
Right. Unlike someone like, say, like Peter Schiff, who just cannot bring himself to realize what's going on, and he's going to go down with the ship, so to speak. Right. But at least this guy here was brave enough, or had the courage enough to recognize that he was wrong, and he's taking steps to correct that wrong. He just spent $250 million to purchase Bitcoin. So, I give him credit for that. But it's just funny to hear someone a couple of years ago said Bitcoin is dead. Don't even look at it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be just like online gambling. And even online gambling is actually making a comeback. So, he was wrong on so many levels. But here's what he said. He said, investment reflects our belief that Bitcoin, as the world's most widely adopted cryptocurrency, is a dependable store of value and an attractive investment asset with more long-term appreciation potentially than holding cash.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we've been saying that now for forever, because it's interesting. How is it, Mr. Wong? That's a good question. How is it that the average person recognized Bitcoin for what it was and these guys couldn't?
Ooh.
How is it that people like you and myself could recognize Bitcoin for what it was, and these big-time Wall Street guys, big-time investment firms and whatnot, they couldn't see? What were they missing, or what did we see that they didn't see?
And I really think that Bitcoin didn't start it out as a product or as a company or as anything that is remotely recognizable by these bankers. And I think that's what they're missing.
Good point.
When Facebook first came out, right? Or when Google first came out, or when Amazon first came out, these guys can do modeling. They can model off of, if A happens, X would happen. If B happens, then Y should happen. They were able to build some kind of a model and then backtrack and say, if these milestones happens, then XYZ would happen. Therefore, it will be worth, certain amount of, dollars. But Bitcoin didn't go through any of these paths, right? Bitcoin started from day one as a peer-to-peer digital money, and then slowly gaining, support and community and followers, and to where we are today, where we are today. So it went through a completely back row kind of a growing path that these traditional Wall Street guys have never experienced before. And so there's no way for them to kind of model back in the days. Frankly, maybe they didn't even bother to try to model off of it because they didn't think that was worthwhile to them.
That's actually an excellent point. And that's a very good way of breaking that down, because it makes so much sense. And I realized that when most of those guys, realized what was happening with the Bitcoin space, they tried to, talk it down, and then they tried to, say, oh, only criminals use that, and things like that. But even that didn't have any long-term lasting effect on Bitcoin. And I just thought about that, what did they miss? But I think you hit the nail right on the head. It wasn't something that they could model, number one. And it wasn't something that came out from their elk. It wasn't something that, they created, or it wasn't some kind of corporation. It literally, and I go back to Robert Kiyosaki, he says it all the time, literally Bitcoin is the people's money. And it's just something that they just couldn't see. But I think the way you just broke it down makes a lot of sense. It wasn't something that they could model. And now it actually, now they're playing catch up. And it's actually good to see them
absolutely.
playing catch up for. It's good to see them playing catch up for a change, right? It's normally it's always us that's playing catch up. Now it's good to see them playing catch up. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, right. It gives us the average folks an opportunity, to really have something that we can call our own, right? I mean, usually is when these I compare it to like these nice fancy dinner that these Wall Street people have, they get to eat first, and then we come in and whatever left over,
Get
you
the
guys can
scraps.
take it. We can take it, I guess.
And then we get the scraps for a
Yeah,
change. We get to
yeah,
eat. We
for
get
a
to sit at the
change.
table.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's funny. Oh my God. All right, guys. We have come to the end of today's live stream. I hope you guys had fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the information you found some value in the information, because that's the whole idea of doing the live stream, is to bring you guys some value, some information that you can use, that you can implement in your daily lives and for your long-term strategic planning as well. So we're going to wrap it up. Always love to have you guys here. We appreciate it. Let us know if there's any topics that you guys want us to talk about. Drop it in a Telegram, reach out to myself. We can definitely talk about it. With that being said, you guys have a wonderful rest of the evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Don't forget to join us Monday again, 5:30, same place, same time for the next live stream. And also Monday night for our compensation webinar as well. Mr. Wong, any last
Yes,
words
sir.
for the folks, sir?
That's it. Stay safe, guys. We are getting close to these vaccine. I know the third phase is already underway, and I've been hearing good progress on it. So keep your faith. We will get there. We will go through this. We will get through this, just like everything else. So
absolutely,
keep practicing social distancing, please.
All right, awesome. You guys take care. James, love you, my brother. Always good to have you on, taking care of things, making sure things happen, and keeping us in check. I appreciate that, my friend.
Of course, brother. Good to be here.
Absolutely, James. All right, guys. I see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend.